So if you're here this long, congratulations. You're here for the May the Zoo be with you, Scoopy Scoop. Whoa. Welcome to May the Zoo be with you, America's most favorite TCG podcast. Still no proxies allowed. I'm, of course, joined by America's favorite wildebeest, Josh.
What's up, everyone?
And I am also joined by the man who hit a brand new subscriber count today.
I did.
More than ever before. And he has nobody to thank but his perfectly dyed sweater. Louis DeGeorge.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for being here. We're so stoked for you.
Where can people get that sweater? And most importantly, Louis, because that is a Fuego sweater, and I know that you credit all of your new subscriber count to the sweater.
To the sweater. I've been wearing it all week, so it smells.
I know. I have no.
We can smell it. We know.
It's so comfy. It's knitted and dyed and embroidered.
It's knitted, dyed, and
I
embroidered.
thought, yeah.
What's up? All right, hey, welcome. And George is here too. George from Compete Sport.
You're not going to plug your sweater?
We'll plug the sweater at the end of the podcast. They can stick around. They can stick around.
What a terrible hook.
Three
What a
people here
terrible-
about
I didn't know we were doing the hook. That wasn't part of it.
If you want to know where to buy the
baby.
sweater, you got to stay till the end of the podcast.
Yeah, that's the hook, baby. You stick around. You'll
It's been
find
great
out.
seeing you all this week.
Don't go to the comment section. There might be a spoiler there. It'll be the link to the sweater. And we're also joined by George. He's just George. He's got a Hawaiian shirt on. I'm sure his house is still flooding. Are you you're in your living room right now? Because your kitchen's flooded, your attic's flooded, and your bedroom's flooded. That's great.
And bathroom. And closet.
Bathroom. Yeah.
And sunroom.
I thought of you today.
Ooh, you
I
got
called
a
my boss.
sunroom. 1%er.
I called my boss to check on him, and he said, I feel underwater without you here. And I went, oh, huh. Everyone I know.
All right, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. Today we are going to talk about the Magic the Gathering bans, mostly because Josh has a lot to say about it.
I do too.
We're going to talk about Infinity Singles.
Pamping.
Pumping, yeah. We're going to talk about Brothers War. Oh, brother, where art thou? Sorcery Lives, the Living Roadmap. Where in the world is Genesis? And Cryptic Comics, as well as the big announcement from MetaZoo this weekend that George has been pumping for a month and a half. So let's start off and talk about the bannings.
Patience. That's the hook.
Let's talk about the bannings in Magic the Gathering. Josh, why don't you start this one off for us, buddy?
All right, everyone. For those who don't know, Magic did have a ban announcement that dropped at the time you listened to it. It's still this week at the time you listen to it, most likely the week of October 10th. In Standard, we hit the Meat Hook Massacre, and in Modern, we hit Yorion Sky Nomad. So just a quick overview here. The Meat Hook Massacre ban makes sense for those that follow Standard. Mono Black was kind of running rampant over that format, and it seems like a non-consequential hit. For you guys, stores, financially, it is a valuable card.
Yeah,
out of
$45.
that set. Yeah, so I know when a valuable card gets banned, that kind of hurts.
Well, if you have inventory of them.
Shout out to Omnath.
Josh, is this card seeing play like any other formats? I know it's relatively good in Commander. I think for a lot of people, for Commander perspective, will be excited that the card got banned because they've been looking to pick it up, and they haven't been able to afford it. Is it played in any other format other than Standard and Commander, or?
I mean, it sees a lot more play online. People online are more willing to experiment the ease of flip-flopping in and out of decks. But that comes with let's just Arena in general. That comes with the ability. You don't feel like the real hit if the card gets banned, right? Because you kind of get those wild cards back.
Well, you
so
didn't spend money on it. You just spent wild cards on it too.
Yeah. It's seeing some fringe play in those formats, but mostly it's Standard here.
Okay, gotcha.
I follow.
So you think that's a fine ban? You're cool with it?
That one seems fine. Something had to happen to the deck to open up that format. But the one that ticks me off, and you're just baiting me into getting to this, and I see it in your face, is the Yorion ban. And it's not necessarily the ban, it's the reason behind the ban. This blew my mind. This really ticked me off.
Well, tell us what they said.
Oh, I didn't. I wanted to give you a chance to read the viewers.
Okay.
Because you seem to
you
jump
want me to
into
read
that.
it? All right. Well, I'm not going to read the whole thing. They banned it because the deck is too big, right?
they banned it because there's an issue in Modern with searching through the deck and the dexterity required to shuffle an 80 card deck over and over again. And this, to me, really ticked me. Like, that's ridiculous.
I think that's kind of ableist of you, Josh, if I'm being honest with you.
What?
What?
Okay. Anyway, the fact that the card's not too strong, it's not dominating a format, it's not causing an interruption in play. It's saying people have to search through their decks too often with fetch lands and various search effects. And for that reason, we're banning this card to try to.
I think they should have banned fetches and only allowed shocks to help us with Infinity. That was my hot take for the ban. They should have banned all fetches from every format, including Commander, and just said, "You want lands? Get ready for the shocks." That's what I think they're going to do.
You can only play with foil borderless shocks from Infinity.
Yeah, that's it.
And foil borderless shocks that you purchase from Captain's
And all basic lands also have to be shadowless and borderless and
what is that?
universe worlds from Infinity.
So
gosh.
we're memeing a lot, but seriously, this is they just banned a card in probably their most popular format that isn't Commander, their most popular one-on-one format, and they didn't ban it for gameplay interactions, for power level, for any reason like that. That does not blow your guys' mind?
Listen, go ahead, Louis.
Nothing Magic does blows my mind. I'm gonna just be honest. They could be like,
we heard this last week. Mark Rosewater is gonna love you.
They could be like, hey guys, we're gonna partner with Pokemon, and your Dragonite cards are all legal now. And I would be like, oh, that makes sense because it's good for the shareholders, and that would be fine.
Oh my god!
But it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me.
But the banning has nothing to do with the shareholders.
I agree.
It's got nothing to do with the shareholders.
Your take is like, what was that take?
No, I'm just saying nothing surprises me.
I love how you started offline by being like, I want to mention the shareholders, and your first sentence about a banning was like, let me tell you what I think about the shareholders and Dragonite.
Dragonite's my favorite Pokemon. No, it doesn't surprise me that they think so stupidly. It doesn't surprise me that they didn't playtest this and figure out that shuffling that up.
There's nothing to playtesting has nothing to do with it.
Well, they designed the card and they obviously didn't shuffle enough and be like, hey, maybe this is an issue. If they think it's an issue now. They obviously think it's an issue right now. You just think that it's not an issue?
What if your opponent double sleeves their deck and they can't shuffle it as well? They have a 60 card deck and they double sleeve it. Does your opponent get a round loss? Is that in the rules?
I hope not.
I don't think so. That's ridiculous.
My Pauper Elf deck is double sleeved with the really thick inner sleeves, and
Did you really double sleeve your Pauper deck?
Yeah, of course I did. It's my Pauper Elf foil deck.
I double sleeve every deck. So
yeah,
I get that.
Me too. I double sleeve every.
It just feels
every
better.
TCG I own is double sleeved.
Yeah, me too.
Even the bad ones.
I don't know. I can't believe you guys aren't more it has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with a card being sought after or unavailable or anything like that. It's insane.
Why are you coming at me like I'm just
because you guys are memeing on this, and this is a
I'm
huge
rooting for
deal.
you, buddy. Josh, I'm on your team.
Huge deal. There are people that watch this podcast that play Magic, that play Modern,
and they also know that it's a meme.
The company's not allowed to meme on their own format.
That's
not allowed. Oh yeah, you're right. They printed Infinity. Fair enough.
Your takes are wild tonight already.
Are you
feeling okay,
but then they print stuff that's like companion. It's.
This is very different, is Josh's point. That was a broken mechanic. They didn't ban the
companion mechanic. They didn't ban all companions. Right. They banned this one because shuffling the deck could be hard.
Yeah, I think that's stupid. I agree with you. That's stupid.
By the way, during the whole conversation, I've been shuffling a 100 card double sleeve deck. I'm an athlete.
Oh my god, we're very proud of
MTG athlete.
I agree that it's stupid. Your question was, are you not surprised? And my answer is, no, I'm not surprised. That's my answer.
You thought that when the ban announcement came out, they would ban a card because of the dexterity it takes to shuffle the deck when you include that card.
That's not what I thought, but it did not. It does not surprise me to hear it.
You have a super open mind. I don't.
I mean, I think it's stupid. This goes back to the difference between online play and in person. This would never be an issue if it was just online. And maybe they don't play test stuff online, right? So I just don't understand why now. Your Rurion, whatever his name is, it's been in the format for a long time, right? Like it's been in there since Ikoria. So what changed since?
Shout out to Ikoria.
This is
God, Ikoria is such a good set.
Ikoria is a fantastic set.
Ikoria is such a good set.
To me, this sounds like there's something coming that's gonna break Yorion, like that deck. And they were just like, well, let's just ban it for some other reason. I know an idea. It's the dexterity issue.
The guy in the office with the tiniest hands was like, I know why.
I don't know. It doesn't. I mean, it's just, again, it doesn't surprise me.
I hope that's the reason. I hope something comes out in Brothers War that just breaks the bird wide open.
Now, is this an issue where it just takes too long, so the games end up lasting, like going to time?
But no, Modern is a very quick format. So in the format where it's banned, these games aren't going to time. Even in it's played in a lot of control piles, right? A lot of mid-range value piles, and it's just not going to time.
My favorite is the ending line. To make Modern fun and accessible as it can be for all types of players.
Bingo. Accessible.
It's now banned in Modern. Interesting. But I think it's stupid. I agree with you. I think it's a stupid reason to ban a card.
George, you are foaming at the mouth right now.
Nope. Look, I mean, like, listen, like Wizards bans cards. Like, it is something that drives me crazy. And like, when we started covering Magic more, I had to reflect on my soul and be like, am I going to be angry every month when they ban cards, or am I not? I decided not. Like, I weirdly, I hate to say this, agree with like Louis. Like, this does, like, did I think they would find a reason to ban it because you're ableist? No. But I
have an online presence. You can't just throw these allegations out there. You're buried.
But like, I like WotC bans cards. It's what they do best, other than print tendies. Like, for themselves, not so much for LGSs. So like, like WotC banned a bunch more cards. Like, there's a few card games that ban a ton of cards over and over and over again. Wizards is one of them.
Yeah.
So like,
sure.
Like, congrats, they banned more cards. Guess what will happen next month?
Sure. I'm stuck on the reason, but I see what you're saying.
I agree with you. Like, the reason is silly, but like,
you make a good point.
Like WotC doesn't view, like, this is like, so it's funny. I talked to my WotC rep last week. 2 weeks ago, because before my house flooded. It's pre-flood and post-flood. It's like Noah in my house. And like, I told him, like, I bought out a distro of Zendikar set. And like, he was like, that's wild, because like, I remember how furious you were about Zendikar.
Yeah.
And I told him, I was like, listen, I thought it was like the scummiest thing Wizards has maybe done in my time. So, but like, they just don't view bannings the same way I do. They don't care. They don't care that they ban cards. They don't think it's a big deal. They don't think it hurts the player base. And frankly, they might be right.
Like, that might be on.
Like nobody, like, Josh, nothing but love to you, brother. Nobody else has complained to me about this.
Well, do you do Modern?
Yeah, not often.
No, you don't run Modern. So
one of my closest competitor does. Not my competitor, who's my friend, but like my closest geographic competitor does. And like, you know, that judge whines every time this guy turns gray, and he didn't post about this. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I guess, like, I honestly think Magic players have been beaten down so much. They're just like, yeah, okay, now they're banning.
You're onto something. I'm very accepting of bans, and bans just kind of roll off
like,
for me.
Like, drives me crazy. And I like, before we changed the format of this podcast, I had to do some deep soul searching about like how I made a deal with myself. I'm not going to be furious every time they ban a card, because I will have a heart attack. And like, then who will carry this podcast? Like, WotC just doesn't view bannings the same way I do. I think it is a morally repugnant action to do it as often as they do. I think it hurts LGSs, and it hurts players, and it shows laziness. It shows laziness on the part of a very large corporation.
Yeah.
They don't view it that way. They say, like, listen, we produce 10 trillion cards in 90 sets a year. We're gonna mess up.
I will say, like, that is definitely one of the negatives to the amount of sets that they release, is that there's just no way that they can correctly playtest like they were doing when it was 4 sets a year.
Absolutely. If
there's
they did
no
4
way
sets
that
a
it can
year and they were
happen.
banning this much, I'd be rioting.
Well, and now they're also doing like things directly to Modern, right? And I think, Josh, we were talking about that a little bit on the phone the other day, where like Modern is such a different format now because they can just drop cards right in. It almost feels like a standard type 2, you know what I mean, like that kind of thing, which we'll talk about with standard, I think, towards the end of this, or in the middle of the podcast. But
sure,
yeah, I mean, the reason is funny to me. It should be a giant meme to the community, like every time you show up to play Commander, you should be like, hold on guys, can we get like a deck shuffler out here, because I can't handle it. Like, the entire world plays
what a
Commander.
Terrible joke. If anybody said to the table, I would boo them and kick them out of my
Josh started
store.
laughing, for the record.
That says a lot more about him than it does anybody else.
Everyone hit back 5 seconds. Josh smiled at my joke.
Okay,
so
and if you smiled, log off and go touch the grass, because you could find some reality in your life.
I'm a dad now.
Right?
I like crappy jokes. What do you want from me?
Did we congratulate you yet? Was that last week?
We did.
Yes. We did.
Gotcha. I can't remember.
My child is the bane of George's existence.
Okay. I'm sorry, Josh. You seem really torn up about it.
That was funny.
I was irritated by the reason. I'm with George. I get it, but it's cool that Commander players can get it more affordably. But hey, I've said my piece.
Oh, you're talking about Meat Hook Massacre? It'll be interesting to see, like, how many people really play Standard? That's the question. Like, I don't know how much that's gonna really. I haven't really looked, honestly, at how it affected the market on Meat Hook Massacre, but like, every LGS in my area stopped doing Standard. Nobody runs Standard at all. Is that normal? Leave a comment in the comment section if that's normal for you. You can answer too, George, but I just meant, like, I'm curious to hear from the wonderful viewers of our podcast.
Oh my God. Like, we have one store who like runs all the formats, and they're tryhards. They run every format in the universe once a week.
Meat Hook Massacre, it's down to $48, so I don't really think that
I think it actually did it go up.
I would say I think it was at 45. It might have gone up after the ban.
So it looks like it was at some point a like $70, $65 card.
What set is that card from?
It's from
one of the
Innistrad
Midnight Hunt. Yeah,
it looks like it got up in the.
I'm glad they were able to ban the card from that set, because that set was a little bit overpriced. I'm hoping this makes the box prices more reasonable for the consumer.
We can talk about. Are we ready to talk about Amazon? Is that?
I like how the 2 check marks on Louis' head: Amazon and Shareholders.
We're not there yet. We're
not there. You've gone in 2 different directions, because you talked about you made a point about, like, what does this do for standard sets and stuff like that. And it's interesting when you start banning cards like this and nobody's playing Standard. Like, is Standard just an online format at this point? I want those numbers. I'd be interested in what percentage of Standard at this time is played online, and if that percentage is high, what does that do for Standard Magic sets? Like, besides sell them for $60 on Amazon.
Right. I don't know, but it doesn't really seem to me like it's really affected the market on this card. Like, so to me, that tells. Like, that's telling of not very many people play in paper Standard. It's weird. Like, the card spiked way up to like $65, $70 last week, and then now it's back down to the price of before it was. It was almost like there was a buyout of it. I don't know, but
like a mini buyout. Yeah.
I know you love those, Louis. You love those buyouts. I know this.
Wrecked. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Unfinity singles. So George and I had a different predicament this week. Last week on the podcast we shared that both of us got maybe stuck with. Is that the correct word? Stuck with quite a bit of Unfinity, of which I would love to shout out our favorite card shop on the internet, Card Shop Live. Shout out to Card Shop Live for making a deal with TCG players so that you don't have to pay fees, so you can come to where all the LGSs sell, because nobody wanted to sell on your platform, Channel Fireball, and now you are selling on TCG Player without paying fees, and you put boxes up at our cost. So thank you. I'm so glad that all the LGSs are going to die. It's great.
We don't know if they're not paying fees. Continue, Louis.
We don't know that.
Paying fees them to their parent corporation.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're paying fees. It's great. I pay fees to my family too. It's great. It makes a big difference. like what? Like who cares?
Listen, man. You can't sell sealed magic on TCG Player. You can't do it.
You used to be able to do that a little bit.
You used to be able to do so. The way like the
you used to be able to get a booster box for $100.
The hard rule used to be you could sell on TCG Player and lose $1. Like that was the rule.
Yeah, and it was always
now you lose like $15. Like
just in fees.
And that's like very different. That's a very like you can't lose $15 a box.
Yeah, and it's because of stuff like this. Like this is
absolutely, of course.
Like this is to me and it's release day. Like not even like a week after. This is like release day. Listen, some people think it's great for the consumers. That's fine. Good luck finding a place to play in 2 years. That's going to be the issue.
All right, boo boo. Let's.
We're not there. We're talking about Infinity Singles. You and I
clearly we're not talking about Infinity
Adapt
Singles.
And overcome. Adapt and overcome.
Clearly not what you're talking about.
We adapted and overcome, and so we both. I was avoiding saying that.
Close.
So we nothing. So Blink-182 came back this week.
Oh God!
That trailer was so good.
They had a trailer, George. I don't think I sent it to you. I assume you didn't see it. They had a trailer. It was like a bunch of different people saying, like, "I can't wait for them to come. I want them to come." This thing, and it was about Blink-182 coming back.
What is this podcast?
And I was trying to avoid
exactly what I thought tonight was going to be if it helps any, Josh. I talked to Louis today, and this is exactly the podcast I expected.
It's great.
What is happening?
My wife and I are trying to get Blink-182 tickets right now. I got to get up tomorrow morning.
I saw them live a year ago. Don't do it.
If anybody's listening to the podcast and gets Blink-182 tickets for Cleveland or Pittsburgh,
you can sell them at CaptainsMarket.com.
What's the lead singer's name?
Tom DeLonge.
Hey, Tom. I know you're listening to the podcast. Big fan.
Next week,
DM Louis.
Podcast.
Get him some tickets, and we'll have you on next week. If you don't get his tickets, you're not on next week.
Yeah.
It's up to you, buddy.
You joined the ranks of Mark Rosewater.
Yes. Louis will call you. What did you call him last week?
Spineless.
God almighty. You have been on a roll lately.
Mark Rosewater is now banned from our podcast for the record.
I invited him on next week.
Him, Jeff Bezos, who owns Card Shop Live.
Is that Sasso?
I don't know.
Maybe not anymore. Now it's whoever runs eBay. Who runs eBay? It's that dude.
Elon Musk.
You can't get him banned. You're all in on eBay Live.
I am all in on eBay Live.
I thought you had your own little YouTube thing where they can all check their spam folders for their invoices.
Can we talk about Infinity Singles? Can we give people some form of content today? So Jordan and I opened all of our boxes of Infinity.
Holler!
Why are you saying no? Because
you opened all your boxes of Infinity. George's people all opened all his boxes.
False, fake news.
George actually worked for once.
I went to my store twice this week just to help open boxes. It was that desperate.
And his employees were like, "Oh my gosh, he's alive! We haven't seen him all year."
Accurate.
That's awesome.
I only opened 5 of my 8 cases, and then last night I
opened more.
Last night I had some orders, and I was short 1 foil Shockland, so I opened 22 boxes because they all had box toppers, and I didn't get the Shockland that I needed for the order.
Please note, he has my store manager's phone number and could have easily texted him and been like, "Hey man, I oversold a X. Can I get this from you?"
Yeah, it was great. But EV on it is very good, to the point where
it's up again today.
Yeah, I think we both
Sharks
made like a 15% profit after fees. So
Sharks are pamping.
I really think that this set is I think the phrase I want to use for this set is like misunderstood.
No,
I think
mistimed. It's mistimed.
You think?
Like, listen, imagine they did what they should have done and released a set on December 10th.
Near Christmas would have been cool.
They always have a fun. They used to have a fun December set.
Yeah,
a fun December thing.
Yep.
This would have been perfect.
I think it would have. It would have let Warhammer stand on its own a little bit.
Yeah, instead they released it at the time of this weirdly hot Commander product.
Well, it did get
weirdly
delayed.
hot.
Like, listen, I did not. Like, nobody saw these Warhammer decks going crazy.
The regular ones. We all kind of predicted the collector one.
You called me one day. You're like, these look like they're gonna suck. I'm gonna reduce my allocation on them.
You don't reduce your allocation on anything.
No, he didn't.
That's
So, like, weirdly, I did on that in Infinity. Regret both. Continue. This is why you never reduce your allocation.
So
don't worry. I still took all of my D&D. Don't worry, boys.
Get this. We just bashed Card Shop Live. Somebody bought the last 12 boxes of Card Shop Live about an hour ago on TCG Player.
Do you want to bet there's more tomorrow? By the time this podcast airs, go online and see if there's more boxes.
It's just an interesting set that I think is untimed or mistimed is a good phrase too. But I also think people just don't fully understand it.
You know what? All right, here's the hot take. They nailed this set. Yeah. Sorry, Josh, close your earballs. They nailed this set.
My store went into drafting again this week.
Yep. Like the problem with every other unset was that all the value was in their one full art land. They ran into a problem in that every set now has 15,000 full art lands. So there was no value in that anymore. So they had to add a value another way, and they did that with the shocks.
Revolutionary. Yes. Nobody else saw that. That take was brand new.
Did somebody else say that?
Well, I did a video on it like 3 weeks ago.
I don't watch your videos. I respect
also,
my time.
Like, my take wasn't that original. Like
that's a great story. So like they added
that's par for the course.
They added the shocks to add a ton of value, and they did. And so now this set is fun like an unset, but has value like a regular set. It's perfect.
Look, if they would have just added the shocks, that would have been cool, and we would have been in the exact. If they would have done maybe what I suggested, just add the shocks, and everything else is still an uncard, we would be in a great spot. This set would be a unicorn. That would be great.
I love the pup. I love the pup.
What's your?
You got the pup,
Josh?
No, the pup. The pup is bad. Take the legal card. No legal cards. If you want to add value, I understand adding shocks. That's fine, and the shocks can be legal cards, right? But the other,
what's wrong with the pup?
Lands.
So I get that take. I'm not disagreeing with that take. In fact, like I agree with that take. I don't love that there's legal cards here, but like
it does nothing for the value of the set either.
It really doesn't. I mean, George and I talked while we were opening. Like we basically don't even look at the other cards.
No,
like you basically look for one card. If you don't hit that card, you throw everything else in a pile. Mythic, rare, doesn't matter.
You make your store manager go through them all.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just saw in half, which is the most expensive card in Galaxy Foil at $18. So, but like I think the question is like, will there be any additional value in the future? I've said this in a couple of videos. Like, if a few of these cards, Saw in Half, Space Bellrain, Comet, the pup, like if those cards do end up seeing some sort of play, then it will add value. I still don't think it's the right thing.
I opened the boxes and I found out why you should always open boxes. I found this card called the Carnival Barker, and I immediately fell in love all over again with Magic. That is the funniest card and the best card in the world.
The Carnival Barker?
I don't even know what it is.
Some of us take pride in knowing what's in Magic sets that we cover.
There's no card called the Carnival.
Hey, what's the card band for Modern, George?
It's just Carnival Barker. There's no the George. Come on.
Urian. Thank you. Next question, Josh.
Oh, it's like the main card from the set, like the artwork.
Yeah, I know.
You have 30 seconds to loud. What is loud? A creature you control. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You don't know. It's one of the.
I don't know. I did not read the card. I saw the name of the title and the art, and I loved it.
There you go. Okay, gotcha. It's a dog employee.
I thought it was a bear.
Oh my god.
All right.
You are
Carnival Barker, not a bear?
No, it's a dog. It says right on the card, right below it, dog employee.
It's a dog employee.
Hey, you should try learning how to read. There's a great book I know called How to Read. You should pick it up.
False. You don't know books.
Anyway, Infinity Singles pumping and like on their way up too. Like it doesn't seem like. I will say the foil Shocklands, not seeing any difference in non-foil price.
Hey, it is a dog. I thought it was a bear.
Yeah, it says dog right on it, buddy.
Oh, dog employee. Look at that. It's a creature.
But on the rebound, in terms of card prices, I mean, they have. I list them and they sell. Like my house.
I sold every single one of my 7 cases we opened within 24 hours.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm talking regular land, shock land, galaxy shock land, galaxy regular land. You find it, we sell it. Compete Sport, number 1.
It's to the point where George and I last week were talking about what the hell do we do with all these, to now we're both like, should we order more?
Here's the problem. When this ends, it's going to end ugly.
It's going to end hard.
Should we be buying more boxes?
You can tell me a story where these go to like half this price in not a lot of time.
Yeah.
That's what worries me, is with most of the value of the set is propped up on those lands, and they are awesome. I went down to the LGS and I was going to pick some up. They're like, no, we've already filled. They had stacks of them, and they're like, we filled every one of these as an order on TCG Player. None of them are available, and they had stacks, and they're just sorry, you can't buy any of them.
My policy is making 50 boxes at a time, new box at a time. I'm opening those 50, and if the price is still high, I'll reorder those 50.
Yeah, it's crazy.
54.
The foil. What I would not do if I was a consumer, I would not be buying the foil ones, because you get foil in every single box. No, I'm talking the regular foils.
Okay.
You get a foil in every box. So the foil multiplier is going to be like, it's just not going to be there. The foil multiplier on those shocklands is definitely not going to be there. Especially that like modern, those players usually want non-foils because they don't curl. Although these cards,
I will say,
cards are, the quality is really good. They're not, are you kidding me?
So you ready for this? I agreed with you last night. I left my Carnival Barker, which now makes a lot more sense. Barker, why it's a dog, bark, in my car.
I was going to say, was that in your house? Because your house is full of water. For those of you who are just joining us on this podcast, which is probably a good chunk of you, there's a running history of George making fun of me for my flooding house.
Not true.
Yes, there is.
Not true.
100% true.
Yes.
I've been nothing but supportive.
So true.
I've been a great friend.
My house has been flooding.
Louis is gaslighting you.
Leak the DMs. Leak them, Louis.
My house has been flooding for a year and a half. It just got fixed. And
that's not true either. Get some more.
It's fixed. No, it rained.
You still don't have a kitchen.
It rained cats and your not dog.
Carnival barkers.
Carnival barkers. That would have been a good joke if I would have landed it. But George now gets made fun of because his house flooded. So we just make fun of flooding.
What a great story that was, Louis. That's really great.
Which, by the way, if there's ever a physical manifestation of karma.
Yeah, 100%.
No, I feel fine about it still. I regret nothing.
I asked his wife, I said, what is it like to like have to deal with the karma of your husband's like meanness? Yeah. Anyway, Infinity Singles. So what do you think, George? Would you advise somebody to buy these now, or you think they're going to tank?
Wait, the singles?
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't pay me to buy them right now.
Yeah. I tend to agree.
Like, this is like, these are going to go down.
I tend to agree.
Like, these are going to go down.
You could pay me to buy them. Like, if you're going to pay me, I'll buy them.
I'll pay you $1 right now to buy them.
That's not enough.
That's
there you go.
You could pay me to buy them. You just aren't. Not enough.
Like, I don't like. Other stores are going to do this, and they're going to do it at a much bigger scale than me or Louis do. Like, I'm not a box opener.
Can confirm.
Like that's not my business model.
Are the stores that you're connected with, Josh? Are they buying more to do this again?
There's the stores that I know are definitely taking advantage of selling these because they're so hot. Like any good store, right? When a product is hot and the people want it and they feel like they're getting it at a fair price, they're gonna buy it up. You sell it to the people, right?
I sold most of my Planet lands, not shock lands, my Planet regular lands, in store.
Yeah. Like there's no reason not to sell these, but again, that's the economy, right? If that keeps happening sooner or later, the demand will dry up.
Especially because Distro still has it. Distro still has a lot of it.
Yeah, if that's
this is like there's no reason to think Infinity's going away anytime soon.
The amount of listing for the Galaxy foils is so incredibly low. It makes me
those are hard to pull, man.
There's 12 blood crypts listed.
Like, and hey, Magic's got how many millions of players, and there's 12 copies listed on TCG Player.
It's insane. It's absolute insanity.
Those are hard to pull. Those are 2 per case, roughly.
Yeah, it's like 2 per case of the collector boxes. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's like you're spending $1,200 to get 2.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah. I agree.
Is that a buy?
No, I don't think so. So the problem
here's the problem. It's like they're still available at distro.
Yeah, but they're.
That's a problem. The other problem is that you have to have somebody to sell. Like this goes to the age-old problem we talk about all the time. If you're the person who buys out, you have to find somebody to buy it from you. You
got to be someone on the other end of your buyout. Yeah,
I think long-term maybe, but the other problem I have and the biggest issue I see with any of these cards is what happens when they do a secret layer Shockland edition and it's Galaxy Foil
Amazon exclusive. And the shareholders love it.
And they're like, hey guys, we want to celebrate the 31 years we've had with you. And so here's a director because LGS, you can have one of them. You can have one of them. Good job, LGS.
Did you see the Magic Historian's take on this? Spicy. God, he is so goat.
What did he say?
He went on a little ranty rant about this. I love him. I love him.
We should have him back to talk about it.
We could definitely have him back.
Yeah. All right.
Don't tell him what my channel is. I can't handle what Louis went through beforehand.
Infinity Singles. We're done. All right. Oh, brother.
That was so good. Called Cookie Dough. You think I've wasted my life? Yeah.
Oh, brother. Brothers War. So I did a video today saying basically don't pre-order.
Here we go.
So what do you guys say? Like, what's the deal with standard sets? Do they matter anymore? There's no block. There's no what what
a weird thing is like they don't matter. They're no longer going to block.
Well, like that mattered.
Well, the block statement was weird, but the overall message was good.
You don't think that the block thing was better than no block?
Listen, no, I think it's better. I don't think that's why the block has nothing to. The loss of the block has nothing to do with why standard sets are so not impactful right now. The loss of the block has nothing to do with that. I wish they would go back to the block. Of course you do.
Listen, one of the reasons I think standard is struggling so much is it's just not an interesting. It's not thematic. It's not interesting. I remember like playing standard and being like, no, this is cool. We're like playing Ravnica sets. Like it's a cool like block. It's fun to enjoy together. I remember being like, I don't want to play anymore. When rotation happened, it was like these two sets that don't have any theme together.
What a weird choice to pick, like the sets that like nobody still wants from like 5 years ago.
Ravnica?
I love those sets.
Guilds and whatever are like you can still like find them for basically old MSRP.
Hey, I love my
Ravnica Allegiance and Guilds of Ravnica.
And Guilds.
That was the first time I got wrecked by distro. They were like, it's going out of print. Do you want? I'm like, hell yeah, load me up, son. I was new. And got some Ravnica bags.
Yeah, they've got Shocklands in them. You should try opening them for Shocklands.
Does it work?
Rudy does.
I'm going to the store tomorrow. I'm going to the store tomorrow. Tyler, get that Coke Zero ready, baby. We're coming in. 3 times in a week, dreams do come true.
Or nightmares, depending on your mood.
Definitely a nightmare. Like, there's no question.
So, like, listen, Louis, my opinion is that it's the theme might have something to do. You've always been a weird specimen when it comes to this stuff. I would say the average player didn't stop playing standard because of the block theme. Now, I think it adds something to the top. I love the block theme. I think the average player stopped playing standard because it's the format that requires probably the most effort to keep up on. And now it's so widely available at your fingertips wherever you're sitting right now. So it doesn't require you to constantly be buying, new boxes, cracking cards, buying singles off TCG Player. You can just play it at your fingertips by opening digital packs. You can kind of get that rush, and you can do it anytime you're ready. And you don't have, there's tons of guides following for these formats. I mean, think of it, when you did it, it was no big deal to go down to the LGS and spend a night playing standard and spend a night buying new stuff and changing your deck. The Magic audience has gotten older. Right? We're not necessarily bringing in as many young people as there used to be. We all have more stuff on our plates, more things to do.
Is that true?
It's harder to keep up with. I think so. Yeah. Look at Magic. Look at Magic content. Look at Magic content. Look at Magic content creators
yelling at clouds.
That's scary to me. Like
if it helps any, I think God is wrong. If it helps any, no, it's not. Stop it. Yeah, I don't think that's my store's full of my store's on a base, like it's full of kids, but it has kids. Like the kids come in to play Magic.
What are kids?
Magic hits every age group because
Well, he's like 60, so probably anybody under 40, right, George?
Yeah,
like that's a
like
kid.
me and Louis.
they're in their like late teens. Like what do you mean, like 10-year-olds? Yeah, 10-year-olds don't play Magic anymore.
It would be super interesting to go to to be in a college town and see what the LGS looks like at a college town. Like I noticed. Here's the thing.
I'm on a college
Josh,
campus. You know that, right?
I don't know that.
Okay.
Yeah. I notice when school starts at my store, like attendance drops in half probably, because summer's here. People, college kids have nothing to do. They end up at an LGS. They play games. College starts. Half of the people leave and go to school. That's kind of what happens.
Fair.
So I think that there is a younger demographic. They all, I don't know. Most people who play my store don't really play Arena.
But I think that everyone who's playing Standard is playing Arena or playing Magic Online or something like that.
Yeah.
Because it requires so much upkeep. It changes so frequently.
Yeah. So from a box perspective and a buying cards perspective, do you think there's any reason, or are you saying that like if you're gonna engage with Brothers War, the only reason to do it from a perspective is to play online?
Well, I think there's a reason to engage with Brothers War. I mean, my opinion is there are plenty of people that open new Magic sets and open the cards just because they really like to, right? And I think formats like Pioneer,
He was either saying me or he was calling them losers. I don't know. Okay, loser. Gotcha.
Oh, okay, well,
for the record, thanks for calling me a loser.
I guess. Yeah, thanks. So, but there are formats that will get
That's
use
the
of
nicest thing I've ever said about you, just so we're clear.
I don't know if that was him or me, but I'm just gonna assume it was him. No, there's a reason. And listen, Magic and draft in Magic is bigger than I think any of us realize. Like limited sealed play, draft, whatever it is. I think it's bigger than any of us realize.
My store only drafts. My store does draft every Friday.
Yeah,
I find that really weird. Like other stores don't draft. So I'm like, how do you guys like keep the lights on?
Yeah.
And that's good.
Like, here's my new take on all standard sets, Brothers of War included. I would not be pre-ordering if I was a consumer, unless it was from your LGS to show them some support and love, which you should do.
TabTeamsMarket.com.
Not your LGS.
It can be if you don't have one.
And you're in like middle of nowhere, West Virginia.
Well, it can. No, I ship worldwide, not Magic, but I ship other product worldwide. So it can be your LGS if you want to, if you need sleeves or.
But
TCGs,
you have to be okay. Like if the set goes banana pants, like Kamigawa did.
Yep.
You hold on, boo boo. Let me finish. Bingo card. You have to be patient. Because, just like Kamigawa happened, like it went to $10 trillion a box, they reprinted, and it crashed down to earth.
Yeah.
Wizards will absolutely, positively give reprints of draft and set. They will probably give a reprint of collector, but we don't know that.
Well, now they will because they just care about their shareholders.
Bingo card.
So, we don't call it a reprint anymore. We call it a wave now.
Yeah.
I love that.
We should just call it the print. That's just what they do.
But so if you don't buy it on pre-order, but you're patient, you can't really lose.
I agree. Yeah.
If you want it now, if you're like, I have to have it now, listen, then pre-order. It's not gonna the difference in price between pre-ordering and not pre-ordering the first month is going to be nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe you overpay by $10. Maybe you underpay by $10. It doesn't really matter. If that matters to you, listen, maybe you should do different kinds of drafts and popper decks. Not Louis' $10,000 popper deck, but real popper decks. That's great. It's a great way to play Magic.
I think for those of you who don't resonate with that, buy singles. If you need to, if you want to play with the cards for Commander or whatever, buy singles. And I personally think one of the good things about the million different flashy variants and 100,000 different versions of each card is that the cheapest version of the card is cheaper than it would be if it was
it's unbelievable.
I look back at regular Dominaria, OG Dominaria, and Teferi what was that? Teferi not Time Raveler, the other one, Hero of Dominaria.
Hero of Dominaria.
That was like a $65 card. Like right now, the most expensive card in Dominaria United, the textured foil Sherald, the Apocalypse, is like $65, and like the cheap version is way cheaper. Like that, I think that's a win for the game.
Yeah, it's a huge win. Like, absolutely.
I mean, that's the reason you can get the Liliana the Veil for under $30, like because of
you
that.
just want to rub that in, don't you? Just rubbing it in.
What are you talking about?
George, can you send the box you owe me to
Not
Josh?
yet, baby. Not yet, baby.
Yeah, okay.
Got another 2 months.
Okay. Yeah, right.
you better start a big buyout there, George.
Yeah, right.
How much would that cost? It'd have to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
More than the box, just
Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
The lowest listing right now is 205, and there's 22 of them listed.
That's stable. That's stable.
Yeah, but stable.
We just need a moonshot. We just need them to announce they accidentally included like 200 tabernacles.
I'm in. Mark Rosewater, I've been super nice to you this podcast.
He never talked about your aunt or whatever. He's
Brothers War looks sweet though. I'm still like
the commander decks look good.
Yeah, and I love I love that they did them all retro frame. I think like the theme, like they are doing some really cool things for Magic.
And
right
listen,
now.
they're doing serialized cards finally.
Yeah.
They finally listened to America's favorite TCG podcast and get straight up copying sports like they all should be doing. Like, that's great.
Serialized Magic cards is a big deal. I think that's a big deal.
Huge deal.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a huge deal.
It's gonna be really. My question is, how many of them will they do? Is there going to be a million different serialized cards? So they're not really that
Here's
special.
the trick, boo boo, and this is what you'll learn from sports if you spent 5 minutes researching it. Nobody cares. There's
Really?
35,000 different versions of one of ones of every hot player, and each one is worth $10 trillion. Like, how can there be multiple one of ones, multiple one of one shield cards, even of these hot players? Magic. Who knows? Who knows how Panini does it? But like, you will see that in Magic. The Gathering.
The lowest printed one is 500, right? The worm coil engine.
Yeah,
1 of 500. It's gonna be interesting to see how that how that progresses. Do we see it every stat?
those are
totally insanely pamp.
Pamp?
Like, it's going to be rarer than basically any card on the reserve list.
So my question is it rarer than like the red ink cards?
Right, from
Kamigawa.
Neon Dynasty.
Oh, I think like Metazoo, like the red ink from Metazoo. Like
no.
I was like, no, it's not rare, Louis. There's 100 of those.
Like this is where I don't fully.
What a weird comparison.
Yeah. This is like where I don't fully understand the rarity of a card like that.
I suspect the red inks are the neon pinks, I think of what they're actually called, aren't they?
They're neon red. I pulled a neon blue one the other day.
Nobody cares about neon blue.
That's true.
Like,
it was like $65. I was like, oh, that sucks.
Like the rarest one is like, I suspect there's less than 500.
Yeah. So there's 11 listed. So then you get to, is there less than how many Galaxy Foil Shocklands are there?
Okay. Listen to me very clearly, everybody. There are way more Galaxy Shocks
I agree
than there are neon reds.
I agree that. But where is that line? Is it 500? Are there 75? Like that's where
there's way more, I would bet you, of Galaxy Shocks. Way more.
Okay.
There's well, yeah. And then
super case.
No, I'm not saying that there's not way more.
Like,
what the number is.
250 cases.
Yeah.
That's 1,500 boxes. I suspect there's more than 1,500 boxes of collectors. Just my hunch. I don't want to speculate on print runs, but my gut is that there's more than 1,500 boxes.
That's fair.
That suspicion is going to be really interesting going forward with these serialized cards too, because we suspect there's all these Galaxy Foil Shocks, but you're suspecting that because they're still sealed in product, right? So these serialized cards, it's going to be weird because some of them like are just going to be sealed away in product for people like me that are just going to throw them on a shelf. Like, You'd be like,
Sure.
who's got number
Have you
number
ever tried
420?
playing the game, Josh?
Yeah, Josh.
Have you ever tried playing Magic the Gathering instead of just collecting and investing it?
I hate you so
you
much.
pig. Yeah, I don't know. Those Redding cards are still selling pretty good though. About one every 2 weeks.
About
not
one every
bad.
2 weeks, you say?
Yeah, is that you, George?
No.
Who's at the other
$1,500.
end of that out?
They flatlined. They were going down, and somebody started buying them.
Really?
Anyway, it'll be interesting to see that. I like the Redding cards. The blue one was pretty cool. So what I don't like about
So far off topic.
well, I'm bringing it back. What I don't like about the serialized cards is that they didn't change the artwork. Like I wish that it was truly a unique card, not just the same artwork with a stamp on it.
I completely agree. They should have done different kind of foiling. They
This
should have done
episode
different kind of
sucks.
artwork.
George and I agree on everything.
Listen, I'll disagree. I'll be devil's advocate. I think as long as they're serialized and they're stamped with their number, it doesn't matter.
No, you're wrong.
I don't think it makes a
You're
darn
wrong.
bit of
Because
difference.
here's the trick of serialized.
It's really hard to argue with you, by the way.
That makes sense.
Nope, you're wrong.
You want to flex.
Yeah.
And you want a big flex.
I agree.
And like the best way to big flex is different kind of foiling or a different look.
I like the subtle flex. The subtle flex is like mwah, chef's kiss. Nice.
Yeah, like I just feel like they should have made him. They should make him really, really special.
All right. For all you people at home, Google superfractors and sports cards. That's what they should have done. That's fuego.
Super fractors. I'll put it up right now. Super fract.
This is becoming the Let Me Google That For You podcast.
Better than the Let Me Finish podcast.
These don't look that great.
You're crazy. The gold
Super
ones, right?
fractors. Yeah, I mean, I think so.
God, they look so good.
Oh, those do look pretty sweet.
But like,
I
I
know.
can't.
So
I'm not showing the screen though. Sorry, everyone.
if they did an alternate art, they also have to include the stamp with the number on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't, because otherwise you would never trust that they only printed 500 of them.
Versus, like, let's be clear here. Like, they still, like, you can still not trust them. Like, this is what I love. Like, this is where these knuckleheads really get into weird stuff. It's like, did they really find those boxes of legends? Like, listen, do I think they found them? No, they knew where they were, but they didn't reprint them.
No, they did
Like,
not.
Yeah,
Wizards
definitely not.
isn't going to commit multiple felonies to fool the consumer.
Well, and like
Just to appease their shareholders, like Louis will probably suspect right now.
yeah, yeah.
I'll bow down to the shareholders.
That's all they care about. That's it. The card stock's different. You can feel it on the
Yeah, I
card
mean, like,
when you open it. I mean,
yeah.
it's like
100%.
Yeah,
you
like
can.
this is like the dumbest conspiracy theory in the universe.
okay. Let's move on. That was a good Magic segment, everyone.
Right. Thank you for approving it, Louis. That's very nice.
That was good.
Let us know if you agree
That's-
with Louis' assessment in the comments below.
All right, let's
Hey,
talk
I've
about.
actually been liking the Made the Zuby with You comment section. You guys have been on fire recently.
Yeah,
It's
it has
good.
been. It's been
It's
good.
been great. I've really enjoyed reading them.
I read everyone.
I do too.
Friday is like the hardest day because I'm always on my phone all day.
Friday is a fun day.
Notification.
I don't read
I
the
still have my
comments.
comment notifications on. It's great. Yeah,
You so me too. You have to.
yeah, yeah.
What?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, as a creator, you
care.
should. I try to respond to every comment on my videos.
I can't do that anymore. But I'm
too big time. I'm too big time. I'm too
Absolutely
big time.
can.
My
You
wife.
absolutely
No, I can't.
can.
My wife got pretty mad at me, so I can't.
Why?
You're not
On my-
allowed to. You
I
can.
was on my phone all the time. Just on my phone all the time.
Yeah, my wife prefers that. I'm quiet that way.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. All right, Sorcery released their what are they calling this? The Living Roadmap. Everything George ever wanted. The Living Roadmap, where they are updating the community on everything they're doing. That's pretty cool. Pretty good. Everything is
cool.
in the same spot though, so not super exciting to talk about. Everything is proofed and on its way to print. That's about it.
Like,
It's cool.
listen, we've advocated for communication, and we've said before that these roadmaps
Listen,
are a great thing to do, but sometimes they're just not that impressive. Like, listen, sometimes things are at a point where it's not
Jesus.
it's not a lot going on.
Wow. What a,
Like, this is going to get more impressive as time goes on. This is the first
Wow.
one, isn't it? Isn't this the
Wow.
first release of this?
rough.
This is the first release of the roadmap, is it not?
It is.
So as we travel down the road will get more impressive.
This is fair. So we do get some print run numbers out of this too. There's 7,013 pre-con decks of each one. There will be, I think we know how many of each card.
18 million cards.
Where do you see that?
Under cards, right next to it says 18,203,000. That's where I'm getting that from. In case you want me to
set your source,
good,
please. Yeah, we good.
You good?
So part of that 29,000 boxes, they announced that they will not have more boxes than that. There's a little bit of a conversation in some of the Discords about because of the way that it was phrased, but Koshai came up and who's Simon and helped everybody understand there's 29,000 that includes some overprinting from the backers. So they didn't release the exact number, but let's pretend 28,000 boxes were pre-ordered. They did 29,000 boxes, so they have some extra boxes for if the shipments go wrong, but 29,000 is the total print run. Unique cards 2,400 and elite cards 9,600 of each. 9,600 total elite cards. It's kind of nice to have.
Go ahead.
No, what were you saying?
No, go ahead.
Kind of nice having those numbers like broken up right there.
Yeah, I think this is going to. I mean, once things get in people's hands, this is going to become really valuable.
Only 284,000 foil cards in 29,000 boxes. So 10. What is that? 10 foil cards per box. That's not that many. Why are you looking? Like, why are you both staring at me like my math's wrong? I feel like my math's right. Is it wrong?
I was distracted by George's A Beautiful Mind gaze.
What would you like to say, George? We all know that you hate sorcery.
I don't. I just think the word boutique has to mean something. Like,
oh, you're so hung up on that one thing that they said before the game was even kickstarted.
That was the first line of their Kickstarter.
Right, and it sold more than they thought. They've said that.
I agree.
So
That's
maybe
not
they
their
shouldn't.
fault.
Maybe
But
if they could go back in time, they would unuse the word boutique.
That's not true. They still use it.
Boutique.
But here's
boutique.
My whole. Can I tell my boutique story now?
No.
It's a great story.
It's not. I've heard it.
It's a great story.
All right,
if you want it, leave it in the comment section.
No,
I won't read it.
Story. I'm sorry. The comment section is always on your side, so please.
No, it's fine. So my fear with sorceries is very simple. It's the same it's always been. 18 million cards in 1.23 million packs. That's a lot of packs, boys and girls. That's a lot of packs. I don't know if a game that's been out for 15 minutes, for negative 15 minutes, can sustain that level of demand to actually have demand for 1 million packs. Like, we have seen card games that have been around for years now struggle to sell that number of boxes and have any kind of value.
29,000 boxes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, we have seen several games now produce more or less than that.
We've seen lots of games produce infinitely more than that, though.
Yes.
Like 4 times more than that. 5 times more than that.
We don't know if that's true. For any game I'm aware of.
We speculate.
5 times more than that would be 150,000 boxes.
Yeah. What new game's doing that?
Well, like Flesh and Blood would be 125 for Monarch First Edition plus all of Unlimited. Certainly there was at least 25,000 unlimited boxes.
We don't know that.
You're right. Sorry. Don't ban me, please. Certainly we know that.
I'm the only one on the chopping block here. Are you guys having fun?
That's not true.
and look at the prices. Keep in mind, this is Kickstarter. They're coming out with first edition, which will be very similar. And I suspect they're going to do at least the same number of first edition boxes.
Yeah, that's something I think these games really need to consider not doing. Didn't we talk about that once?
We did. You had terrible takes.
I did, and I think I agree with your guys' takes now that they should reduce it. I think I've had time to mull it over and not just in the moment disagree with you guys, but I think reducing the second wave just to meet demand, I think is healthy.
I think they should do 15,000 boxes for the first edition.
I think that's fine.
I think that might be too many, if I'm being honest.
So, what's your concern? Explain to me what your concern is. What are you afraid of?
The boxes are going to come out.
Okay.
You're going to get your boxes. My fear for this has never been you're not going to get your boxes. They're going to come out. The market's going to tank. And the problem will be, will they have a way to get the demand back for the next set? It's a year between the sets. If the first box tanks, I don't think you can come back from that. I don't. Sure. I think your first box has to come out and the market has to accept it. But I don't know if there's enough demand for that number of boxes. That's always been my fear. Let me be very clear what I'm not saying. I'm not saying you won't get your boxes. I'm not saying the art's not amazing. The art is amazing. I'm not even talking about the print quality issues. That's a different topic. No idea. We'd just be guessing. But like, I don't know who's buying the 50,000th box of a game that less than 1,000 people have probably played.
But of course, less than 1,000 people have played the game. Well, I don't understand why you're so hung up on that. That's how you move boxes. Thousands of people back the game, and very few people like using Tabletop Simulator. I hear this all the time. I don't want to download Tabletop Simulator. I don't want to sit on my computer and play a board game. I say that. To me, I don't like Tabletop Simulator. My events in my Discord server have always been webcam based events because I don't like playing Tabletop Simulator. Okay. Like I think that these come out and people are excited to pick up and learn how to play, and then we see what the demand is for the kitchen table experience, and if people like that.
We both agree that about $2 million were added after Rudy pumped it. Is that fair?
Sure. Yep. Rudy.
Do we think that those people are really in it for the? Do we think the vast majority of them are in it for the gameplay? That makes sense. Rudy, well known for his gameplay videos. Love you, Rudy. That's not what I come to you for.
Like people who care about actually opening the product and experiencing it. They care about the artwork. So, I think a lot of Rudy's patrons do play casual Magic and hang out and enjoy games. That's where I was. I've been a Rudy patron for 5 years, 6 years.
How come he doesn't cover that at all? You would think if there was that much demand for that kind of coverage, he would do it.
Because nobody wants to watch gameplay content.
Bingo.
Games. That doesn't mean nobody plays the game. It means nobody watches gameplay content.
Stop saying it. Okay.
Josh, how's your gameplay content going?
Jesus, stop saying it.
Josh, I think you put out some great videos this week.
You have not watched a single one.
I know you put out videos this week. I just and this. Let me be very clear here again. This is not their fault.
It's not a thing. You're creating something out of nothing.
Like George.
Who's buying the 50,000th box of sorcery? I don't know who that person is.
There's 29,000 boxes. There's not a 50,000th box.
There's a first edition printer coming right after.
I don't think it's right. I don't remember when.
It's months after.
I don't think they've said that, George. I don't think they know that. No, I don't think we know exactly.
Regardless,
when the next is.
If they said it or not, George, you used the fact that it's one set a year, and I've talked about the fact that it's one set a year, which is not great. I mean, in my opinion, I want to see more than one set a year because I think people have short attention spans. I'd rather see shorter printed set and keeping people engaged with a little more churn. However, if they print these boxes and your concern is that they're printing too many boxes for what you think the market needs, the one set a year might be a blessing because this thing might be able to hit the ground and build steam, and there's always product available for people to pick up. Now, the initial people that got in on Kickstarter thinking they're going to make millions of dollars might not make millions of dollars. But if the gameplay is good and people pick it up, the fact that there's product readily available around every turn could be helpful.
There's 4.4 booster boxes per backer. There was 6,456 backers, and there's 29,000 boxes. I don't think that's too much. Like if I were,
think there's going to be 30,000 box demand for this product.
You think if they print,
let's say they didn't do Kickstarter. Let's say they call Distro You think they're selling 30,000
I don't
boxes?
think so, because
I don't either.
Kickstarter currently, I think this is going to die, but Kickstarter currently is a marketing tool for new TCGs. My point is that, like, I think that 4.5 boxes per person is fine. I think there is a chunk of people, let's call it 10%, 20% of people who are in it just for the tendies and flipping, and they'll make some money and they'll lose some. They might end up losing some money. I don't think they'll lose money, to be honest with you. But I think people who actually want to engage with the game will probably open 3 boxes and keep 1 sealed for their sealed collection.
I think your 20% number there is a little bit closer, right? This did come at the height of Kickstarter TCGs being kind of this tendy
Polywogs is pumping.
Oh my god!
The other one, the other one that
I'm
rose
going
a
to
ton
get
of
a
money was
point out
Maelstrom.
on this podcast without you saying something ridiculous sometime today.
It was sarcasm.
Like I can feel
that was a
lot
of sarcasm in that statement.
You know what? Go ahead. Here.
Go, like, say your point.
Like what Josh is saying is absolutely correct.
Can you let Josh say it, please?
I know. That's why I did it. That's why I did it. I had to do it to him. I had to do it to him. I had to do it to him.
Can I have better friends, please? Like, I think your 20% number is far more accurate than your 10% number because of, again, the source. I think George has got a point with the source. I do think this came at a time where Kickstarter TCGs were viewed more as tendies than a way to actually back games. Right? All the message I was getting about Kickstarter TCGs were not because we want to back the game because it's fun. That doesn't mean that can't be true. But I think we will see some initial turnover and some people will lose money. And to George's point, that'll leave a bad taste in their mouth. However, if the product is great and readily available and is constantly introduced to new players and a new audience, it'll get picked up. Right? It's only one set a year. It'll be there and ready for people to try.
The fact that a lot of people backed it does not prove anything about the game, other than a lot of people backed it. Maelstrom rose more than $500,000. Guess what? You're never getting your boxes if you back Maelstrom, is my guess and everybody's guess. You bought Hopium. It will not be that way with Sorcery. It will not be that way with Sorcery. I would bet a significant amount of money you will get boxes. The cards will be beautiful. I will also bet a lot of money that there's not demand for 30,000 boxes.
I like what you
like. It's going to be a beautiful set. And there's going to be,
but that's a reason that people backed it.
Why they back Maelstrom?
I don't know. I didn't back Maelstrom.
It's not a problem.
Why do you back Polywalk? Why do you back Grand Archive? Why do you back Nostalgics? Like people just back Kickstarter because, what did you ever play a game of Nostalgics? I have a guess. What's the last game of Great Archive you played? Let me guess. You didn't back these games because you wanted to play them.
I backed 2 of those games because multiple people in my community asked me if I was going to, and if I was going to stock it as a store. And so I said, sure, I'll back it at the store level. That's what I did for 2 of those games.
I think that counters what you said last time, just so we're on the same page. That's okay.
I backed it as a store level for Grand Archive and Sorcery.
I'm stuck.
Which is not one of the games I mentioned. I said Polywog, Grand Archive, and Nostalgics. Continue.
Oh, Nostalgics, I didn't get the store tier.
And look what happened to Nostalgics. But what did Nostalgics raise?
A lot. So, I think, I don't know. Those games are different to me.
Why?
Because I think this is being marketed as a much different game. It's being marketed as a casual experience.
Oh, no, you just gave him the boutique card back.
Rose $935,000. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
All right, we get it. You hate Sorcery. I
hate Nostalgics more than I hate Sorcery. If it helps,
I just don't understand.
I want to give Nostalgics a shout out. I love their Halloween art for this. That Halloween art cards. They look fuego. I actually want a set. But my point is this, Louis. How many games in Nostalgics do you think are getting played this weekend? Not many.
No clue.
Not many is my guess.
But Nostalgics doesn't create something super new.
What's new?
It's a board game-esque type experience.
We don't cover any games that have done things similar like that with the grid system. It's like a board game meets a TCG. God, they really innovated that space.
For 6,000 of the 6,500 people who backed Sorcery, they had never heard of Genesis.
I agree.
So it was new for them. It was a new experience. It was a new idea.
Do you think they backed it because of the grid?
I think that's part of it. I think for some people that's part of it.
Possibly they're backed it because it's something new.
Nostalgic rose $900,000. How did I not remember that? That is.
I come back to the idea of like what do you think failure for Sorcery looks like? What's a box price? What is like? Because
I don't care about that. That's not what I'm talking about. Like here's what I think failure looks like for that.
That seems to be exactly what you're talking about.
Here's
your
what
whole
failure
point
looks like
is
for
that
me,
there's too many boxes and the price is going to
that's true.
and people are going to lose money. So what is that price?
I think people are going to lose money, but that's not my fear.
Who's going to lose money? I'm going to lose money as a backer.
How much did you pay per box?
I have a store tier.
That's like answering my question, but not at all.
I don't know per box.
Okay,
great.
I
can't do that math. Let's see. A box for the regular tiers are $130.
I think you might break even, but like you're going to have to spend money to break even.
I disagree.
Like you have to pay fees on eBay and ship it and stuff. Like I think they're going to be $100, $150 boxes.
Okay, I don't think that's a lot. I don't think that's a failure. That's my point. I don't think that's a failure.
Like, who's lining up to buy the second set then?
Like, the second set? People who care about and want to play the game and have a fun experience.
And what percentage do you think that will be? Like, what percentage of people do you think are going to get this box and be like, damn, that was a great time. I can hardly wait for a year from now for the next set to come out so I can play some more cards.
That's not the big audience, right? You're right. A lot of George, I'm with you. A lot of these people are going to get these boxes. They backed it for a non-gameplay reason, but it's going to exist in the ether. And if the company can promote the game and reach a solid audience, those are the people that are going to pick up the second set. Not necessarily, and sure, there'll be some people that did Kickstart that love the game and they keep playing. But you'll pick up people for everyone you lose. You'll pick up more throughout the next year. You have a year to do it.
I have played every TCG that we have talked about on this podcast ever in history, other than a couple of the fringe Kickstarter games. This is the most unique game of any Kickstarter that I like. The game is unique. It's experiential and it's fun and it's really
experiential.
It is. It's like playing it. Every time you play it, something happens that you can you remember from the game. I dropped a giant doomsday device. 35. I've only play tested. I've play tested like 4 or 5 games.
George, let me ask you something. Louis, how many people backed this? How many Kickstarter backers were there?
6,450 some.
If there are 6,460 some, do you think at the end of year one, how many less players than 6,450 some will there be? Right?
4,500.
Okay, so you think there'll be 4,500 less. There'll only be 2K people.
I think you're going to have around 2,000 to 3,000 players.
Okay, so if you have 2,000 to 3,000 players,
I don't think they care about that. Like here's like and look where they put their money. They put their money into what? Art.
Sure.
They put their money in art. Look, listen, if you were like George, if somebody were to call me George, I want to make a game that makes me $20 bajillion. I would tell them this. Don't worry about gameplay. Worry about 2 things. Stretch goals and pretty art. That's it.
I shouldn't say playing. I meant people interacting with the product, because if there's 2K people at the end of the year still interacting with the product, that means they lost 4,500 and didn't pick up any new people in that scenario.
I will play this game with 10 people and 5 of them will like it. 5 of them will be like, hey, no, I'm interested in this game. And of those 5 people, 3 of them will buy product.
That just seems very unlikely. And George, I agree with you. At the end of year one, when set 2 goes to come out and there's 2K people interacting with the product down from 6,500, I'll say that's not great. That's not great, right? That's not the best. But I don't see a world where that happens. That
why?
Drastically.
Like, how many people back nostalgics? Like,
but But you're not talking about
We're not
2,000 people.
talking, George. There's a freaking reason we're not talking about nostalgics on the podcast.
It's not
like why didn't we? It was $1 million
Because
George, it's not just the backers. There are other people in the world that are, after this is released, going to hear about and interact and enjoy sorcery. So you're going to lose backers, but you're going to pick up people off the street.
I have no doubt that you will pick up some people. I don't think you're going to pick up nearly as many as you lose. I don't.
But that means, okay, then that's fine. But now you have to lose, to get down to your 2,000 number, you have to lose 5,500 players and only pick up 1,000. That doesn't seem like
this is my takeaway from Genesis. Grid-based games are a lot of fun, and they're very hard to bring people into them.
But Genesis is much different. You haven't played sorcery.
Genesis is arguably one of the best games ever produced. It's very well balanced. It's a very fun game.
It's a completely different game.
But
it's
hold on, boo-boo. But you have to have this weird play mat. You have to have somebody teach you the game. You can't really learn it from the rule book. You have to do these things that add a lot of barriers to entry. Those same barriers are here.
No, they aren't. You haven't played the game. You don't know what you're talking about.
So there's no barrier to entry. Let me tell you what
entry forever.
Let me tell you what Cryptic has. Cryptic has this thing where if you know Magic, you can learn Cryptic pretty quickly.
Sure, 100%.
Same thing with MetaZoo.
Not.
Yes, absolutely.
No.
So you can use the same similar terminology.
Listen. It's Cryptic is it's different than MetaZoo. MetaZoo has a bunch of different traits. They're icons. You have to learn the icons. You have to have
I agree with the icons.
You have to do 100 different things. Sorcery, you read the card, it tells you what it does. The mana system is kind of similar to Magic in that it matters how many lands, how many spots you have on the field, and they have different colors. It's a comparable aspect to Magic the Gathering. It's a very easy thing to understand the color scheme and the idea that if you have 3 atlases played, they're called sites. If you have 3 sites, then you can play a card with a 3 in the corner of it. That's a pretty basic, transparent thing. But the system of play, the responses, the amount of different interactions is less in sorcery than it is in Genesis. Genesis is a game, in my opinion, and I've said this since the very beginning, for people who like Euro board games that are complex and they have to think and you have to really evaluate what's going to happen, this, that, and the other thing. Sorcery is a game for people who like really spiky big plays that are like, oh my gosh, that just happened. What a fun thing that was. That is what sorcery is for. It's a Commander-esque, oh my gosh, we blew up this huge thing. We dropped and did 10 damage to everything in this range. It's a much different experience. It's 2 completely separate games. Okay, good talk. No response? No rebuttal? What?
There you go.
You haven't played the game, so you can't say that it's the same thing.
I didn't say it was the same thing. I said there's a barrier to entry with every grid-based game.
Okay, you're right. The grid is a barrier to entry.
You're going to have people dedicated to this. You can't just bust out a playmat and boom, you play it. You have to have a special playmat that's a big deal for stores. That's a big deal.
Okay. Well, I cannot wait for January, February, whenever this releases.
Yeah. January, February.
I cannot wait till middle of next year where we can evaluate if you were right or wrong about this.
I mean,
I've never met somebody who wanted something to fail so bad.
I hope it succeeds. I hope you all print your attendees.
I don't care about nobody is caring about the tendies.
I hope you all go to your tendy farm, get them chicken nuggets. I hope
you're really stuck on these tendies, huh?
If you think that I am advocating for the tendies, you haven't listened to a word I've said in the last 20 minutes.
Facts.
I can confirm that.
Gosh. All right, let's move on from
Love
sorcery.
you.
Gosh, we're gonna have to put a disclaimer at the beginning of our sorcery segment every week. Where in the world is Genesis? George, this is yours. Take it away, buddy.
So the place where they were going to hold Fake Worlds is closing. So now they are looking. Now they're homeless, like me in my home, also homeless. Wait, do you think their store got flooded?
No, I think it went out of business.
Damn it.
Do you think they're flooding their store out of solidarity for the podcast?
I think that I think that the shareholder.
That was a good one, Josh. I like that one.
I think that
Thanks,
the Hasbro shareholders are doing just fine, but that store's out. It went out of business. That's what I think probably happened.
God, this poor dead horse is lying on the ground, and Louis just once an episode walks up and boots it in the head. Yeah,
Good job,
this
Mark
is his
Rosewater.
address.
Good job.
This is
God, when you get banned from Magic,
Fine.
your store is rocked.
It's fine.
like, listen, you can't get me banned from stuff, man. Like, come on.
You have nothing to get banned from. What do you have to get banned from?
Your life is meaningless, Josh. Have you thought about that?
First
You
of all,
don't have a
hurtful.
store.
First of all, hurtful. Second of all, only mostly true.
Okay, George, keep telling us about Genesis.
So they're looking for a new home in Toronto still. We are rooting for them. Listen, like I think this is a big bummer. I want to give a big shout out to them. They are there was a lot of talk about should we delay it or should we move it? And they said, Nick, no, we're going to try to find a suitable place in the same city at the same time because we know George can't make it because that's the week of his big convention. I think that was like the undercurrent of why they wanted it to not move that weekend. But they wanted to do that for the people's travel arrangements, which I think is a big shout out to them. And this sucks. Like it sucks that like the store that they like literally announced 2 weeks ago didn't give them the scoopy that like, hey, we're going out of business pretty soon if things don't turn around like in the next 12 hours. Like, what a weird situation. Like, what a weird situation, right?
I mean, I don't know enough about like exactly what happened, but it does seem like that should have been
Like I would like it's always like, hey, George, I'm coming to your store in November. I'd be like, hey,
maybe don't.
you know, like, listen, man, like, there's a lot of great
I
stores.
mean, I guess they could have just like gotten like the tenant, their renter or whatever could have just been like, hey,
no notice. Like
I don't know.
that's wild.
So if you're a store in Toronto and you're listening to this and you want to be
Break out to a Sid.
if you want to be the savior of Genesis,
I don't think Genesis is gonna die if they like.
the savior of worlds. If you want
I
to be
have
the savior of
offered-
the world,
I have
savior
offered
of the
Charleston, South Carolina, as a very suitable arrangement. Weather much nicer than Canada. Food much better than Canada. I still
Also
won't be there. I'll
not
be in
Canada.
Florida. Yeah, more freedom,
Way
Nice.
more freedom. So much more freedom.
cool.
more calories per capita.
Assault rifles, probably.
Probably it's fine with me.
Probably a
Not
better
on base,
hockey team.
Not a base. Spoiler alert, do not bring them on the military base. They don't think that's going to be fun or funny.
I was about to say, I think that'll end really poorly.
That will end poorly
Oh,
for
wait.
you.
Also, better military,
By a mile. Better people.
Yeah.
Better hockey
Yeah.
teams.
better content.
Okay, let's move on from that.
God, we have like now that we've dunked on Canada. Let's roll. This is great.
Yeah.
Now I'm feeling it.
Nicer people though. They do
Who?
have nicer.
Us or them?
No,
Canada.
what do you mean? We're kind to the people around us every week.
Nah, Canada's much nicer. All right, Cryptic Comics. Cryptic has all 5 of their comics out, which I thought was pretty. And I didn't know that this was happening. Did you guys?
Yeah, I
They-
did.
Of course
I
you
did
did.
not.
You never share
I
the.
talked to
Actual,
Tanner. Tanner's a buddy of mine.
you never share the actual Scoopy Scoopies, just the things you read on
Because
Facebook.
Tanner feeds me fake Scoopy Scoops and he posts them publicly. That's not my fault. That's on Tanner.
So at
Tanner's
Cryptic-
my new favorite person. I've never
Cryptic
met him.
T-
He's my new favorite
Cryptic-
person.
CrypticTCG.com. You can check out all 5 of the. This is part of the Kickstarter campaign, which I thought was pretty good. Cool. It was a stretch goal. If they did more, then they would make more comics, which was really cool. So you can click on all of them and read all the comics for free. I don't know. Do you guys know if they're planning on printing these?
They are.
Are they?
Yeah.
That's cool.
That would be cool.
Scooby,
Collecting
Scooby,
comics is neat.
Scooby.
The
Is
artwork.
that public? Is that public?
The artwork's fantastic.
I don't know, but we're not editing this podcast, so it is now.
What are we calling it? A Scoopy Scooby? You can call anything you want a Scoopy Scooby. That's basically what you do. Basically, what you've done as we lead into the
we're leading it.
Are we really not going to talk about how Tanner got his boxes this week? Are we going to really dunk on Tanner for this?
We said that last week. We said
no. We said he was getting them in.
On him.
Okay, he got them. Cool.
He got his boxes in. They're getting ready to ship. I want to apologize to all backers. They're shipping 2 days late. I know that doesn't bother Louis, who said he'll wait 18 years for them.
Couldn't bother me less.
But they're 2 days late.
You and Louis just go back to the same dead horse every week.
They're not care less. They're
2 days late. I hope everybody who backed Cryptic will forgive Tanner. I'm sure you're crushed by that 2 day delay.
It couldn't matter less to me.
Yeah, I would hope not. It's 2 freaking days. Like if you're if you want out of Cryptic because of the 2 day delay, DM me. I'll buy your pledge.
I'm stoked. I'm getting PSA grades back of some of my test cards, and it'll probably be here like the same time as the actual like boxes get here. So stoked to crack some more. Fun set to open. The artwork's fantastic. It'll be really cool. I have 2 people have already reached out to me on Patreon asking if we're gonna do a bundle. So we might do that with some of the.
Oh shit! We didn't announce our sale.
And woven hoodie.
We didn't announce our sale. When are you announcing your sale?
I think we can do it now.
No time as good as the current, I guess.
Okay. Well,
we also haven't talked about it. You also told me, for the record, George also told me, hey, we're going to do a sale. I'm going to talk to you an hour before the podcast, which he didn't do. So this
I called you. You did not pick up. Just we're on the same page.
What do you want from me? Let's put my kid to bed.
I haven't been consulted on this sale.
Yeah,
that's good because it's not your product.
Doesn't really have anything to do with you.
So if you're here this long, congratulations. You're here for the May the Zoo be with you, Scoopy Scoop.
There we go. Scoopies, May the Zoo be with you style.
Only for Louis patrons. We are gonna check to see if you're on the naughty or nice list. I'm allowed to order because it's my product, even though I'm not a patron. There will be a special sale that will be announced in the May the Zoo be with you channel on his Discord on Sunday, and the time will be announced there too. We'll have Magic product. We're gonna have MetaZoo product. We're gonna have Pokemon product, and soon, because it's shipping soon, we'll have Cryptic product.
Love it. Yeah, so we'll do some bundles and some sales.
And we're going to try to make this a weekly thing to show some love to the patrons and the lovers of the podcast, which is all of you. So if you're not a patron of Louis, where can they give you all their hard-earned money for mediocre content? You
go to KitchenTableTCG.com. All the deets are there. Yeah, it's gonna be cool to try to work out some of that stuff. We've been working on transition for the Patreon for a couple months now. I know. Shout out to all the patrons who have remained. Thank you for being patient and
you're gonna like the sales this week. You're gonna like the sales this week.
It's gonna be great. So
it's all because of Josh. Let me be very clear here. Josh is really the brainchild of this, and like
I was saying you're welcome for being a patron that remained. I was a patron that remained.
I thought you weren't a patron. I thought we went over this last time.
Didn't we talk about this?
No, I looked at my credit card statement. I think I accidentally still am a patron. I mean, probably not after today.
Well, you can't quit now.
you have access to the sale.
Yeah. Oh, good stuff. All right. Tanner, can't wait to get the boxes. Can't wait to rip some more and play some games. I'm excited for the booster decks. I'm just going to walk around town and be like, hey, does anybody want to play a game? I've got these booster decks ready to go. Boom.
You got to see the inside of my truck.
Are you going to do that in your window?
It's an ice cream truck. You guys want what a weirdo.
You absolute creep.
By the way, Josh, this is why I think they're going to lose players because of people like that. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Yeah, I guess if Louis keeps promoting sorcery, I'm on George's side.
George, why don't you give us the Scoopy Scoop of all Scoopies, the big announcement for New York Comic Con.
I think Mike needed some more time.
So say that.
I don't really know that, to be honest with you. I thought there was going to be announced at Comic-Con. Listen. You got to be patient with MetaZoo. They'll be fine. Mike, I thought we were announcing at Comic-Con. You're killing me.
You look like an idiot.
Yeah. He said there was 2 big announcements in a couple weeks, and it perfectly aligned with Comic-Con.
Amazon Music and nothing. So
that's not fair.
What?
I mean,
what was the other announcement?
He announced that the next Caster Cup might be at Comic-Con next year.
Then if that's fair, then those are the 2 big announcements, and we get to evaluate if those are big enough, if that counts.
Or maybe don't hype stuff up.
It'll be all right.
Because then they don't.
I'll admit, I thought he was going to announce a partner at Comic-Con. He didn't announce it yet. I'm patient.
We've been talking about this for like 3 months. Our medicine minute for no, it's been longer than that. I don't know if that's true or not. I have no clue how long
it's been since I've been here.
Yeah, this is episode 12 of Josh being here. 10 or 11 or 12.
Internet.
Let us know if it's working out in the comments below.
Hey,
But
listen,
didn't we fire
they
him
do
up?
let us know in the no, they let us know
they
in the
really?
comments below, and they do not say kind things about you guys. Actually, that's not true.
That's true.
They say kind things kind of about everyone.
Most of the comments in the comment section are negative towards George or I. By being positive towards George or I.
That is last week when I absolutely went in on Hasbro and called the product predatory. Someone said I was shilling for Hasbro, and I was like,
predatory line.
Yeah, and I was told I was shilling for Hasbro in the comment section. I was like, "Oh, tell me you didn't listen to the podcast without."
I don't know what
you didn't listen.
I don't know what my favorite take was last week. You calling them predators, or Louis being like, "What if they're gambling addicts who don't have access to gambling, lottery, or sports cards?" Then they could be in deep trouble.
Listen, all they care about is their shareholders. It seemed like Comic-Con went well though, without the announcement. It seemed like
Comic-Con seems to have gone well. They had a huge presence.
Yeah,
and
I love the giant eye, the giant seance eye. Shout out! Like, I think it's cool. MetaZoo could just show what.
Shout out to Texas Ted.
Yeah, shout out to Ted.
End of the show.
Like MetaZoo could just like show up with the same thing to every convention, but like they have like when we were at, I don't remember which one it was, but they had a big UFO thing because UFO was coming out. Like, I think it's cool that they're always pushing to the next thing, which is cool at the things.
Something I want people to remember is that like in some ways it's like easy to be the star of the show at Collecticon. It is very hard to be a big deal at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And they pulled it off. And that's like, seriously, like major props to Ted and Mike. Like, that's hard. Like, that's like real hard. Like, I don't know of another game that could pull that off, frankly.
They had like 7,000 people on eBay Live, too. I thought that was pretty impressive.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Listen, like I won't pull punches. Like I thought they were going to make a big announcement about the partners at Comic-Con. Maybe it will happen in Denver, but like it'll happen when it happens. But like they're doing, they continue to attract a lot of people, and I think that's really, really, really good long term for the game. I have listen, all eyes are on Seance, right? How does Seance do in the market? How does Seance do for players? Every player I've talked to said it really changes the game significantly.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And like that could be very good for the game. Like if you're going to have a set that shakes up the meta completely, I think that's probably good. Because there's not that many sets. So like it's going to be good to have some new life breathed into it. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to Seance. It'll be fun. I know you have your May the Zuby with you bundle that will be plugged now, I'm sure, 10,000 times.
Yep, right there, baby. You got a sweet hoodie that is embroidered. It's embroidered, everyone. That's very
dyed.
It's very comfortable.
Free range.
Free range dyed.
I think it's just dyed. I don't think it's free range. I don't know what that means. That was not on the label. So
it means
dyed on the label.
Cage before you...
I think it was. I think it's woven dyed hoodie.
You buy your sweater from this? Like, and it's dyed.
It's like it's a boutique hoodie. To be honest with you,
where did you buy it from? Where it came
in China?
Actually, I think is the
boutique from China. It's boutique. It's super nice. It's not boutique, but it's super nice. Super comfortable. It's the best. You know, other than the boxes, it's the best part of the bundle. It's nice and.
I like the coasters.
The coasters are sweet. The coasters are way thicker than I thought they were. They're like
one there. You can show us.
No, that's in the other room. I'm not walking all the way back
koozies
there.
are pretty cool too.
Koozies are in the garage, so also
that's
can't show you one of those.
belong.
I should be using the koozie. Why am I not using the koozie right now? Gosh, I'm so bad at this.
And Josh, go back to why I said that the games will lose.
Please, everyone, help me out. I'm bad at this, so you know.
Please help me sell. I only own a retail store.
Wow.
Bundles available. CaptainsMarket.com. All right. What else are we talking about? That it?
So they also released the mask, which I think is good. The
Is it out
Halloween
already?
mask.
Did I miss that?
Probably.
I can't keep up. There's like,
They released the tarot cards, as Louis likes to say,
we've already
on
talked
eBay.
about those. That
I don't know if we talked about the tarot cards.
every time I pull up MetaZoo, every time I pull up Discord, I have like 8 notifications from MetaZoo. I'm like way behind.
MetaZoo loves some notifications,
I
baby.
can't keep up.
It's also right because
I
the
had to mute
Casper
that one.
Society also loves some notifications.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, they do.
I have given up on keeping track of notifications, which is like terrible because people like ping me on stuff. I'm like, may the Zoo be with you, baby.
Yeah.
Like you had best be like DMing me, because like I won't see it otherwise.
Yeah. The masks are cool. I hope they come out. I hope they get to us before Halloween.
I think they will. I think Mike said they would.
Cool. I think I do remember ordering some actually. Now that I think of it.
Like I mean, they also had the Halloween packs for the kiddies.
Yeah, that was different than the masks, or was it the same thing?
Nope.
Okay. Gotcha.
I think those are good products.
Yeah.
Something I do want to see them do is less pre-orders and more sales.
Yeah, like it's ships today.
Yeah, like listen, like they have the capital. Like they sell a lot of product. They have the money. I would like to see like maybe that's a good goal for next year for them. Is like no more pre-sales. We will just do sales. They also have the jewelry line and the gold line coming out. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want a Mouthman gold bar.
I think the gold thing comes out today. Like,
does it really?
The day the podcast is airing, Friday.
I kind of want one. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Gold bar doesn't do it for me.
That follows.
Yeah.
You sold Disney stock for cardboard, so that makes sense to me.
This is true. How's your Lorcana doing?
Totally pamping.
Yeah.
I sold a set.
Yeah. Because you don't believe
that is my lesson to all of you.
Wow.
You can believe in something and still sell some of it.
Yeah, that was sarcasm when I said that, by the way.
Don't be like George in earlier games and hold on for dear life as things go up to the moon and then not.
Yeah. Sell at the moon, everyone.
Take some profits. Take some profits.
The George Wentz story.
Take some profits. And don't buy a Lorcana set at $8,000 and all.
No, absolutely not. Lorcana, everything you feel about sorcery, I feel about Lorcana. It's just different scale. Like they're gonna print way too many boxes. There. The demand's not gonna be there. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Everything you feel, I feel about Lorcana. Yeah, I know you can't fathom it. This is great content. Thank you for engaging with me. Everyone, that's the end of the podcast.
I don't know, man.
We're just going to end it like this. Remember to be kind to the people around you. Thank you for watching, and may the zoo be with you.